That's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No,
it's like they're just like poor people killing each other, and we're just like there watching them.
No.
I'm sorry, dude, I like you, but seriously, your undertone is fucking racist. From the beginning until the end, you are looking at those people as lesser people who have made bad choices, and because they are poor, they are okay to be fucking bombed by Israel.
Okay, this is the third time you've used the racist word. I've never said that once about you.
Your undertone is very, very, very offensive.
So when I read stats,
yeah,
you don't like my tone when I read stats?
You read the stats basically telling people, like, you see, because they're rich, they got this to themselves. The rich people are better, the poor people are okay, so we can have to kill them every now and then.
Israel wants security, and Gaza, many countries in the Middle East need and want prosperity, okay? Israel's whole thing, their whole contention is, listen, we just can't have another October 7th, period. And we're going to do everything to protect our citizens. The people in Gaza, they're no different than other people in the Middle East. They want prosperity. The problem in the Middle East, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's not just an Islamic issue. It's certainly not just an Israeli issue, because by the way, it is an Iranian issue. That's the tip of the spear when it comes to the mafia-like regime that's running Iran over there. But it's socioeconomic. People need economic improvements. People need political certainty. And when you combine that with Islamic fundamentalism, you sprinkle in a little jihad, throw in a little anti-Zionism and rhetoric, you'll get what's going on in Gaza. But look at the countries that are thriving in the Middle East, and look at the countries that are basically the Gazas of the Middle East. Unemployment rates. People need jobs, okay? If kids don't have jobs, if youth unemployment is skyrocketing, what are these young people supposed to do? The highest unemployment rate in the Middle East, Jordan, 23%. Palestinians right next to them, and also at 23%. Then you have Sudan, Libya, Tunisia, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, Afghanistan, Iran, Morocco, Syria, Turkey, Egypt, all above 10% unemployment, with the exception of your country of Egypt, 7%. Every single one of those countries, political upheaval, especially what's going on in Iraq, Afghanistan, Palestine. But did you notice that all the good countries, high unemployment rate, low unemployment rates? Qatar, 0.3%, one of the richest countries on earth. They just had the World Cup there. Richest country in the Middle East. Bahrain, 1.9%. Israel, 3.3%. UAE, 3.4%. By the way, the UK's unemployment rate is 3.5%. So UAE is better than the UK. Kuwait, 3.7%. Same as the US. When people don't have jobs, and they don't have purpose, and they don't have meaning, and they can't work, and they can't basically have political, economic sustenance for their family, they're going to resort to violence. That's why every single one of those countries that is 10% unemployment, those countries are, as Trump says, shithole countries. But all the nice countries, Qatar, UAE, they're all thriving. So it's not an Islamic problem, it's an economic problem. Now, if you want to talk GDP, just for my last point, the countries with the lowest GDP per persons, those countries are disasters. Afghanistan, you know what the average person in Afghanistan makes a year? $350 a year, Afghanistan. Syria, $420. Yemen, $650. Sudan, $1,100. Morocco, $3,400. Palestinians, above any of those guys, $3,700 a year. Lebanon, $4,000. Egypt, $4,200. Conversely, every single rich country has zero problems. Qatar, GDP, $87,000. Better than the United States. Better than the United States. Israel, $55,000. UAE, $54,000. Kuwait, $40,000. I can go on and on and on here. The bottom line is this, what I've seen in the Middle East, it comes down to socioeconomics. Then you sprinkle in a little Islamism in there. Why is every rich country in the Middle East have no problems? But all the poor countries are suicide bombings, terrorists. Gaza had the opportunity to invest billions of dollars into infrastructure.
In what?
Into infrastructure.
How?
But they built tunnels and bombs. But my question is...
No.
Here's my...
You're wrong.
Gaza has not built tunnels and bombs?
You're wrong. You said like as if there was like some sort of a prosperous source of economy, and all of Gaza said took that and put it on in tunnels. What you're missing here is Gaza since 2006 is under blockade. And even the medicine, even the water, even the electricity is controlled by Israel. They don't have.
I'm not asking you about Gaza. I'm asking you about the Middle East. To be clear, you want to focus on Gaza and then you want to turn it back on Israel. I'm asking you specifically.
I'm sorry. Let's not talk about Israel if that will make you a little bit nervous.
We can talk about Israel for the next 2 hours.
Other countries in the Arab world, so we can prove that Arabs could be bombed at any time because we were fucking poor.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No,
so they're just like poor people killing each other, and we're just like there watching them.
No,
I'm sorry that, dude. I like you, but seriously, your undertone is fucking racist from the beginning until the end. You are looking at those people as lesser people who have made bad choices, and because they are poor, they are okay to be fucking bombed by Israel.
Okay, this is the third time you've used the racist word. I've never said that once about you.
Your undertone is very, very, very offensive for these
people. So when I read stats, you don't like my tone when I read stats.
You read the stats basically telling people, like, you see, because they're rich, they got this to themselves. The rich people are better. The poor people are okay, so we can have to kill them every now and then.
That's not what I said. And you're putting words in my mouth, and it's actually super disrespectful. I'm reading stats to you. I'm saying, how can we uplift the poor countries in the Middle East? How can we turn...
the blockade. That's number one.
No. I said the Middle East, funny guy.
Remove the blockade.
I said the Middle East. You're talking about Gaza. I'm naming all these countries that are thriving. Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Israel, Silicon Valley of the Middle East. What can be done with the countries that are quote-unquote shitholes?
Okay, give me a country like a shithole. Give me an example.
I'm looking at the unemployment rates in all these countries.
Give me one country.
Afghanistan,
okay.
Syria,
Afghanistan.
Lebanon.
Why Afghanistan became a shithole country?
Because they endorsed the Taliban.
They did. They did. Yeah. Isn't that a little bit of a reductive way to tell history? Because at the beginning, there was no Taliban, and then the Soviet Union came in, and then America came in, supported the Taliban, make them bigger than they were, and then at the end of the day, they support. If you remember Rambo 3 was supporting the Taliban, so Taliban was really cool, and even they were even hailed by right-wing Christians as freedom fighters, anti-communists. And then what happened? America, some people like the Richard Wilson wall wanted him to come in to put some schools. That no. We spend all of this money of tanks on weapons. We don't need to put them schools. What happened? Taliban flourished, all because of America interfered, made it shitty, left everything. Taliban flourished, and then America went in again, spent $2 billion, making it even, $2 trillion, made it even worse. So when you tell me like a country is not surviving, it's not because there are bad people there. No. You have to come into the root cause. Every single country that you said, I can bring you the root cause of how America and the West has fucked this country to become.
Go to Syria, go to Lebanon, go to there.
Yeah.
Bashar al-Assad, killing his own people, gassing his own people. Tell me that's Americans' fault.
Who's he supported? Who was he supported by?
That's the whole problem in the Middle East.
Okay.
You have Sunni, you have Shiite, you've got Houthi rebels, you got
every single country in the Middle East.
It's a quagmire wrapped in a riddle, and then surrounded by Islamic terrorists.
Every single Middle East.
Figure it out.
Bashar Hussein is not. You cannot really put Bashar Hussein as a Islamic terrorist thing,
because he's fighting ISIS, which we're funding ISIS to fight against Bashar al-Assad.
Who's funding ISIS?
You tell me.
Qatar, who's actually funded by the United States. All right. So you don't understand. You see, this is how complicated.
I do understand how complicated it is.
People in the Middle East are either supported by Russia or supported by America, and they're fighting each other. So at the end of the day, you have people who have come to power because they have been supported by one of the superpower, and they're fighting against each other. Yeah. You have the Hamiditi, and you have the army in Sudan. Each one of them is supported by external powers. So it's not about like the Islamization of them. It's not about the economy is bad because at the end of the day, these are warlords who are fighting against each other. But to reduce that, why can't they just like make some money while you completely ignore the power of the international powers that are involved into that? Like, for example, the country like Mali. Mali is like very, very restless. And the reason Mali is restless is that Paris is there and it's putting up like some sort of a puppet president, so Paris can continue taking its share of gold and put it into its coffers. So it's much more complicated than just selling Islamization or non-Islamization. All of these power of play, you just gave me a Taliban, and I give you the reason why America did that. Saddam Hussein, right? Saddam Hussein, he was the baby of the United States administration, and then he went in and he invaded Kuwait. Who gave him the money? Who gave him that kind of power? All right, it has been going on forever. The superpower are using the smaller countries, and they are controlling their own leaders in order to go fight each other, because at the end of the day, it works for them.
No, I'm in full agreement with you that that's a mystery wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a quagmire, what's going on in the Middle East. And I'm in full agreement with you that there are proxy wars all over the Middle East. no doubt. But the tip of the spear that's funding all the chaos, Pat has said that this is the year of chaos. The tip of the spear with the chaos is Iran. And there's no, I mean, who's funding Iran? China, Russia, they have a relationship. Azerbaijan, they have some sort of relationship. How do you deal with Iran? Because Iran's greatest export...
Let's bomb it.
Well, we haven't done it yet.
No, let's bomb it.
I don't think we should bomb it.
I think we should.
Okay.
No, let's bomb it.
Then let's elect you for a government official, and you're no better than what's going on. You're no better than the ministers. So you're the Nikki Haley camp. Let's go for it.
That's the answer. Bomb Afghanistan, bomb Iraq, bomb Palestine, bomb Iran, and let's see what happens.
I speak sarcasm better than the next guy. I trust you. I know you're being sarcastic. But what do you do about a regime that is funding Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah? They are the ones who are sowing discord. What do you do about Iran?
I remember like Colin Powell in the Security Council, like, let's bomb Iraq. And then they bombed Iraq. How is bombing Iraq done to this country?
It was a fucking disaster.
Oh, yeah, really? But it will not be a fucking disaster to bomb Iran, right?
I'm agreeing with you. I know that you're speaking sarcasm, so people don't watch.
You say like, oh, it's all about Iran. It starts like this.
Of course, it is all about Iran. Who's funding the Houthis? Who's funding Hezbollah? Who's funding Hamas?
Because 20 years
billions of dollars they're giving to terrorist organizations.
Because 20 years ago,
and you just want to ignore that?
20 years ago, it was Iraq. And 20 years ago, it was Afghanistan, and they bombed them.
I got a question for both of you. I'm actually really curious and listen to both of you guys. This is my question. Okay. The part that both of you guys agree that we had a guy on the only guy, one of the guys I've had on a couple times, his name is John Perkins. He wrote a book called The Economic Hitman. I don't know if you've read the book. You know who he is. Okay. And one of the things he talked about the model on what it was, they go to president, and that's what he did, by the way. This was his job, okay? He goes to a country that has a natural resource or location, oil, it's close to something that they can have some kind of control. And they go to him and they say, here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to come here and we're going to bring billions of dollars of infrastructure to your country. However, here's what you're going to give us. Okay? And then the presidents who said no, he says, a couple of them they killed.
Oh, shit.
That was his job, okay? And he doesn't say he killed them, but he says, if you said no, when I went back and I had to report back to the people that I work for that you're saying no to, guess what? Bad things are going to happen to you and your family. Wow. And it happened. Then the next model was we bring infrastructure, then we make the country go bankrupt. Then you give us everything, then we control you. Are we naive enough to believe?
That's what China is doing now.
Exactly. But pre-China, we did that.
America did that,
and
for a long
others
time.
have done that, and Russia's done that. Other people, and UK tried to do that to Iran, and then later on, eventually, UK, US, Germany, France. These guys got rid of the Shah because coup and all. The people have been involved with economic hitman for a long time. Here's a question for you, Bassem. Here's a question for you, Adam. Okay, so we both agree that that's going on. Okay, we both agree that that's been going on for many decades. No one can even dispute it nowadays. But now we're in this shithole. And what I mean by shithole, shit show, is insanity everywhere. Bassem, what do you do now? Is it more from the standpoint where a part of you was almost not optimistic? You're like, Pat, I think this thing's going to go and nothing's going to happen. It's going to continue all this other stuff, right? What do we do now? We were told during 2015, 2016, when it was a debate between Hillary Clinton and Trump. Yeah. And what were we told? If Trump becomes a president, war is going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So everybody, we're all like, oh, shit, it's going to be pretty bad. This guy's going to have do you really want this guy to have the finger on the button? Okay. He goes in. ISIS disappears. There's no war. It's quiet, low-key. Everything's good. Boom, boom, boom. And then, and then boom, Biden gets elected. He's going to be peace. He's going to bring everybody together. He's going to bring this. Then he comes in, and then next thing you know, Afghanistan happens within months. $83 billion of equipment being left. And you got Ukraine, Russia, and then you got this. And then there's a bunch of guys, economists, that are talking about, this is China's year to try to invade Taiwan because Taiwan's got an election coming up.
It's a shit show, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but the point is, like, there's so many contradictions in politics as well. At a point like this, Bassem, where, mainstream media is not going to tell us the real story because they're maybe not even getting the real story themselves on what's happening behind closed doors. What do you do today?
there is one of the most advanced military armies in the region, in the world, supported by the West, supported by America, have voting, like, they're diverting their vote all over, and they're killing people for all that time, and nobody is doing anything for
Who
Israel.
are you talking about?
I'm talking about Israel.
Okay.
All right? So the killing has to stop. And I'm not talking about Gaza. I'm talking about what they do in the West Bank. Every single day in the West Bank, all of these people are being killed in the West Bank. And there's no Hamas came out from West Bank to do the 7th of October. All right? Just a couple of days ago, like a woman was walking with her children, stop, pop, snap, walking the street. That is the regular days of people in the West Bank. Do you think the problem is Gaza? What you see in Gaza is an accelerated, exaggerated form of what's happening in the West Bank too. So you have a country that has occupied the land, and they're like making people living like animals. And if you deal people with like animals, they will come up as animals, right? So that is the crux of all. We can talk about politics and about economy. It's here till the kingdom comes. What is happening is is horrible injustice happening every single day. They're taking people, strip them up, saying them that they're Hamas. You have like an 11 person being killed every hour. You have 247 person being killed every day. That is in 5 days. That is 1,400 people that were killed on this October 7th. You have 30,000 people. And the thing is, when you say 20,000, 30,000, numbers don't don't mean anything anymore. If I told you 1 million people died in Gaza, you will not flinch because their numbers have become so...
It's true.
See, nobody...
I don't disagree.
Nobody. So we go into these circular motions. How can we stop that again? How is that? No, there is killing happening every day. My wife's family have actually cheated death so far for 100 days because they've been running from Khan Yunis to Rafah, back to Khan Yunis, and they were told in the beginning that Khan Yunis and Rafah are the safe place because it's in the south. And then they were telling them, these are the safe path.
Yeah.
Take these safe path. These are the buses. They will run into the buses, and Israel will bomb the buses. After being guaranteed that this is a safe path. This is murder every day. So I don't know all of these circular words about like river to the sea, what's happening. That doesn't make any sense while people are being killed every single day. We have a tragedy, a genocide, a Holocaust happening in Gaza, and everybody is just like playing their balls. It's like, what do you think about the economy? What do you think about that? What do you think about Iran? That's bullshit. There's killing happening right now, and we're just like watching it and trying to fill time with useless conversation.
But how do you fix it short term, though? Because short term...
Make Israel stop. There's no...
How do you do that? Okay.
Exactly. America has to tell Israel stop because basically Israel is a client state. It's taking all of its money in the States. It has actually sucked America dry with all of the money that it's taking away from him, and yet it's not doing anything.
So why do you think Biden administration is not telling them to stop?
Because they are fucking cowards. Because it seems that every 4 years, every American president go and kiss the hand and bend the knees and go to AIPAC to make them sure that Israel is much more important in their foreign policy than America itself. And the only one who did not do it was Bernie Sanders, the only Jewish American candidate who refuses to go to AIPAC. And you cannot call that anti-Semitic, right? And you have to be very, very careful about being anti-Semitic or anti-Jew, because if you call me anti-Semitic, I'm just like, I'm going to fuck you, man. I'm not. Like my idol is Jon Stewart. Bernie Sanders, I voted for him for presidency. Is this whole thing about like using anti-Semitic and Islamophobe and all that you can do and transphobe to shut down the conversation? It's bullshit. You have a murderous country who have lied to the international community, who have actually neutered its own Ethiopian women because they didn't want black people to reproduce, who kidnapped Yemenis Jewish people from their parents, who have like countless atrocities, who even have zoning laws like Jim Crow. It's like, what are this? This is like a racist country that is supported by the United States, and it's killing. And you know, it's fine. There's a lot of racist country, horrible people, but I've never seen a country killing 30,000 people within 100 days. This is 10 times the number of Ukrainians being killed in Russia in 2 years. It does not make any sense. And about nuclear weapons, yes, they have calculated it. Right now, they've calculated the number of weapons that have, by the TNT, they have like three nuclear weapons in a very, very small part. So it's really about the killing. Stop the killing, and then we can talk.